Our position, having been in many schools we've been doing this now for 12 years, bringing technology into schools. Our position is schools are full of great teachers. There's also some not so great teachers, but by and large, if you look at the 117,000 public school teachers in Massachusetts, or the 4.5 million public school teachers in the United States, you have quite a few really terrific teachers, like Gail Roach that we've been observing today. Dedicated, energetic, smart, willing to do whatever it takes to bring the kids along. There are lots of teachers like this. What they don't have is the tools to do what Gail is doing in her classroom. If every teacher was able to do what Gail is able to do, that is, figure out what it is that this particular student needs, give Ryan a call at 10 o'clock Sunday night and say, Ryan, could you do the following for me for tomorrow? Maybe not tomorrow, maybe Tuesday instead of tomorrow, and then have it available for that student pretty quickly. You would have test scores that would just shoot through the roof. The problem is that not very many teachers have the resources that Gail has. I'll pause for just a second. Let me just gather a few thoughts here. Yeah, okay, I know where I'm going. Okay, back on. A couple of months ago, the president visited a school in Boston to highlight some of the aspects of Race to the Top. He was introduced by Mrs. Gates, Bill Gates' wife, Melinda Gates. In her introduction to the president, Mrs. Gates said three things. She said, teachers need to have clear standards. They need to have efficient methods of assessing where students are, progress assessment, and they need tools to teach the material that we expect them to teach. Standards, assessments, tools. That's exactly what we provide to schools in this whole program, where the standards are in place. Massachusetts has standards. They've been in place for a while. That's really not an issue here. We know what the standards are. Tools. The kind of tools that we bring into a classroom for a teacher like Gail, those are the kind of tools that teachers need in order to meet the standards. And then the assessments. They have an assessment product in this district that they use. We use various assessment products in various districts. You do an assessment from time to time. You get your results. You find out whether your students have moved the distance that you thought they had. And if they didn't, you move them back to where they need to be, and you come up with some new material to teach them the content that didn't get across the first time. That's how you do it. Of course, you also have the daily assessment that's built into the instructional material that you're using. Each module, as I said before, each module has a test at the end of it. So if you want to, you can be assessing your students' progress every day, every hour. So assessment is in place. Standards are in place. What isn't in place is the tools. We have left our teachers out there with pretty clear standards, pretty clear assessments, and at the end of the year there's that final summative assessment, the MCAS. And then when those numbers come back and they don't look right, what do we say? We say, well, it's your fault. It's the teacher's fault. You didn't get the material across. Did we give them the tools to get the material across? No, we didn't. We gave them old textbooks. We gave them very limited technology. We gave them very limited access to software. Did we give them any support to keep instruction up to date, to approach students in interesting and current and generation appropriate ways? Did we give them the tools they need to do the job that we're charging them with doing? No, we didn't. This is one school. It's definitely one of the best schools that we have the pleasure to work in. But we're in a lot of schools. We're in 23 or so schools around the state, and we've been in many. There are very few schools where you could not accomplish something like what we have been able to accomplish here with the cooperation of the teachers and the administration. There are lots of good teachers. There are very few kids that you're going to run into who don't really want to learn if you give them the right opportunity to learn. If we could replicate the kind of support and partnership that we have here in every school in the Commonwealth, you would have no performance problems. When we're in a school and we're working along the way that we work with Gail here, things move along, things change through the course of the year. By the time it's MCAS time, which is now, we're focusing a bit more on the actual material that we know is going to be on the MCAS, but we've been covering that all year long. When you see the performance numbers that come back from Gail's class, when the MCAS comes back, there's not going to be any problem. Her kids are going to mostly be proficient because we've covered the material, they've been engaged, they've been excited, they've been working right along, and we've been checking it. We've been evaluating them as they go along, so we're not going to have any big surprises. If there are students who are maybe not going to do so well, we already know that, and we have a pretty good idea of what the reason is. This is a kind of curriculum enrichment and teacher support that can be done for very little cost in absolutely every school in the country. There's no reason why we should not be getting much better performance from our teachers and from our kids if we just give them the tools, if we give them the support, they can do the job that we need them to do. Of course, the economics are always a big question. How can school districts justify spending scarce dollars on a service like ours when they have many other problems? They have teaching positions, they have all kinds of other costs that are getting harder and harder to deal with. Well, my answer to that is this is a very, very modest cost, and in return for the investment the districts make in us, they get the support that we give to the teachers here. They can have that support for all the teachers in the district, all the math teachers, all the science teachers. The materials that we bring in can be used by everybody. And we will be there throughout the year and the following year and the following year to make sure that the program is being executed with some fidelity, that the kids are getting the benefit, that the curriculum is up to date, that the best software as of today is available, not the best software as of 2 or 3 years ago, and that the entire thing, the entire program is moving along the way technology moves along, because the kids are up to date with the latest technology. If the schools aren't up to date with where the kids are, it becomes difficult for the kids to take school all that seriously. So what we do is essentially keep up with where the young people are and keep the school up to pace with where the kids are. But the value to the district of our participation, our support, our material, our techniques, our help for each teacher, the way that we work with Gail, it is that teachers can be more effective, and they can be more effective throughout the year and throughout the following years. We don't go away, and we don't stop, and we don't leave it where it was last year. We're always updating the program. We're always looking for new ways to be more effective, to be more helpful, and that's the ongoing benefit that districts get from us. Technology is here. Most districts are using technology in some way, and they have software. They're using software. They've chosen some products, and they've got them. They've got them, and they're making some kind of use of them. The question is, are they getting the best use of the software? Are they really making the most of that investment? In most cases, I'm afraid the answer is they aren't. In some cases, districts will buy some technology and they'll buy some software, and without enough professional development and help in the classroom actually moving the product into use, it just doesn't get used. It stays in the box, or it comes out of the box briefly and then goes back in the box. Teachers need to be instructed in the use of these techniques. It doesn't just happen. Our method of providing professional development when we come into a school is not to give a long presentation at the beginning, hand people a 6-inch thick user's manual, and then go away. We give a brief introduction at the beginning, and then we come into the classroom and we work with the teachers in the classroom, showing them how to use the product, or the products actually. We use several different products. So we're in there in the classroom with the kids, showing the teachers how actually to use it. Just the way that we saw Ryan in the classroom earlier this morning, that's what every single one of our classrooms look like. Whether it's Gail, Ryan with Gail, or Joan Reisman, one of our other technology specialists, or Dave Stanley. They're all in their schools, in their classrooms, working with teachers day by day, so that the teachers learn how to use it as the weeks go by, but also so that we can figure out what it is that each teacher needs to do, because it's not the same in every classroom. Each classroom is different, each group of students is different, and each teacher is different. So you really have to adapt the use of the software to the individual situation. It's not by any means a one-size-fits-all situation. It's got to be adapted to each situation. The only way you can do that is by being there in the classroom with some regularity throughout the year, so that you can see what's happening, see what's not happening, and figure out what your fixes are. You hear from the teacher, you hear from the students, you observe, and then you know what to do. That's the value added that we really bring to this. We make the equipment, the technology, the instructional products, the online curriculum, we make it effective by really working it into the needs of each individual classroom. Most of what happens in industry nowadays is collaborative. You have teams working on projects. Sometimes a team will be an online team. Somebody's in India, somebody's in China, somebody's in Chicago, and that's the team that's working on a project. I think everybody knows that the best way of developing new products in any field is collaborative, because everybody's got different ideas, and what you want is the richest possible pool of ideas to draw from. Education, by and large, doesn't work that way. You have individual teachers in their classrooms, and that's where they are most days out of the year. They're in their classroom with their class. They may have a conference period, or they may have professional development periods from time to time, but not enough to really collaborate with other people. Furthermore, they don't get much to communicate with people in other schools or other districts. So we're in 20 schools. We're in about 15 districts. We see a lot of things that are going on in different districts. We're in Springfield. We're in Boston. We're in Malden. We're in Methuen. We're in Randolph. We're here in Spencer East Brookfield. We see a lot of things happening, and we see a lot of different situations. So we can bring an idea from Malden to here, or from here to Randolph, or from Randolph to Boston. And we can kind of cross-pollinate among our schools. When we first started using instructional software, using technology in classes, one of our first programs was a summer program in a big high school in Boston. We had a lot of kids, and we were there. The first day that we started the program, I happened to be standing behind one young man. I was watching the first day of class. We booted up, the program opened up, and this young man started zipping around, going into menus, opening different subjects. He looked at geometry, he looked at algebra, he went into physics, he was looking at some history, he was looking at various things. I asked him right at the beginning, do you need any help? And he said, no. He was clicking along, seemed to understand how to navigate very well. So I watched him zip through different subjects for about 20 minutes, kind of impressed that he was so agile at making his way through the content. And then I asked him, what do you think? And he didn't stop, he didn't look up without even batting an eye. He said, it's cool, man, it's a better way of learning. I said, okay, that's it. It's a better way of learning. And from that time on, we've been just elaborating on that observation. It is a better way of learning. If you asked any of the kids that we were observing today, I think they'd all say it's a better way of learning.